Awesome. So I'd like to welcome to today's meeting CIB Mango Tree. We met a little over a year ago, maybe, when I was invited to a Civic Tech DC meeting. I'm super impressed with Civic Tech DC. It's a great organization. So I highly recommend people go. This is a really cool project. And I will just, is Helen coming back? Is
She's grabbing the two others that just come in.
Okay. Okay. Well, without further ado, welcome to CIB Mango Tree. Take it away.
I'll start because Helen.
Yeah, the outer door is locked for security, so.
Helen, you wanna jump right in?
Welcome. We just now we have the full group here, which is really exciting. And yeah, we are CIB Mango Tree. We're an open source project under the Civic Tech DC community. It's really great to see folks in the room and folks online. I think it would actually be great if we did a little introduction ourselves. So my name is Helen. I work on more of the engagement side of the project, and I guess we could go around in like a little circle.
My name is Stefan. I've been helping out with doing the software engineering on the product team. Currently, right now, I am working on a data extractor for the Open Measures API, and I am also working on the React dashboards for the CLI app at the moment.
I'm Jaden. I'm a George Washington student, and I think I got involved since like 3 to 4 weeks ago. I learned about the project through OSPO and the Civic Tech DC website.
My name is Ben. I work on some of the more project management side of the project. We divide the project into two teams, like product, which is really the stack and the tech, and the engagement, which is really more about getting our tool out there. It's about marketing, it's about getting users and reaching communities.
So I'm Ryan Watkins. I teach in the Graduate School of Education. And along with David and our other colleague who's stuck on a train, we co-host GW Coders every other week. Perfect timing, David. You're on the intro.
Hi, I'm the director. I'm the director of the GW Open Source Program Office.
This is Ida Kaihan. I'm an adjunct faculty. I teach in the finance department. I'm a federal employee and furloughed right now, so I took this opportunity to be here in person.
Works out well for us. Sorry that you're furloughed.
Yeah.
Well, you get paid.
Yeah.
Be sure to eat a lot of the pizza.
Laura?
Want me to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Laura Club. I am the program coordinator over at Academic Commons. And David invited me to come, so I'm just because we had. Hi. Where am I?
I'm Yuchen, actually working on the engagement side team at Xavier Mango Tree. I'm also actually a new graduate from GW at the Global Communication Program.
Great.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I am a software developer who very recently joined the team, so I'm still kind of getting to know everybody pretty well myself. My background is in educational technology, and I try to do a lot of service-oriented work, so this was a really interesting project for me.
Oh, I'm Tatiana. I'm Stefan's sister here for moral support. I am an NIH cancer researcher, so also furloughed, which is why I can be here. So,
hi, I'm Nuha. I'm the graduate marketing ambassador for the OSPO team.
Hi, I'm Jude. I'm the undergraduate ambassador for the OSPO team.
Hi, I'm Ani Melisitian. I am a PhD student studying human technology collaboration at GW Graduate School of Education and Development.
Mike Sanders. I'm also a PhD student in public policy, as well as the lead for LASER at the GW Institute of Public Policy.
Hi all, I'm Chris. My background is in neuroscience and natural language processing, but here I'm helping as a data scientist, and I'm currently helping with maintenance of the project on the GitHub. So I'm the one that hangs out among the issues a lot.
Wonderful. And I know we have some folks online too, so that is, if you guys want to introduce yourselves or we could just jump in.
They might be eating too.
Yeah.
It's a common at the very big meetings.
Absolutely. All right, well then let's
Let's
get
get started.
started. Yeah. So definitely because this is a smaller intimate group, would love to have this be sort of like a discussion base, but we talked about our name, CIB Mango Tree, so coordinate and authentic behavior, and I was curious if anybody knew what that meant. Okay, well, it is organized malicious efforts to really manipulate public opinion online. So essentially, misinformation, if you come in the forms of groups or people developing fake accounts to spread information. Oh, it's a common chat, but spread information that is misleading or in favor of a particular public opinion. And yeah, that is what we said. So really, it can be people, it can be bots, it can be groups. Essentially what misinformation is all about, just a more fancier term. And here are some, I wonder if there's a way to make it a little bit bigger, but here are some examples of where CIB happens in the world. So on the left, we can see that you see at the very top, there are multiple accounts with the same information and the same picture that's being posted. And then on the right, we have a lot of technology groups talking about how they're taking down these groups or these campaigns that are working to spread this misinformation. And what our team is really focused on is really being able to support the researchers and the watchdogs who are looking at this. So, for example, I think it's through the Atlantic Council in DC, but the Digital Forensics Labs does a lot of work within this area. But these watchdogs, many of them lack the programming skills to be able to find this information online. They use stuff like open APIs, crowdsourcing, other methods, but really what we are trying to do is really provide the data and provide the tools to be able to find this online. And then we'll be introducing more about our tool, and Stefan will go into a little bit more detail. And I should also talk about, we talked a little bit about what CIB is, and then you're probably wondering what the mango tree comes in. The mango tree is inspiration from Taiwan. Taiwan has really wonderful mango trees, and just like how we want to create a more healthier internet, we want to replicate that in our work. And then also right now our tests that we're building are sort of low hanging fruits to focus on like smaller cases, and then as we go up the branches, we're focusing on more sophisticated cases. But Stefan, if you wanna, oh yeah. Here it is. And sorry, it's like really small. But just click this button.
So who are we? So we're a group of volunteers. A lot of us are technologists, a lot of us are programmers, designers, and project managers. And a lot of us are also data scientists as well. But we're using our skills to try and build free and open source tools that people can actively use. And to kind of further drive that point home, a lot of the code that we produce can be used without any programming experience. Like whenever we have a release, we actually provide like binary executables for Windows and Mac OS that you can go download. With that being said, though, the code is extensible enough that if you want to just go and download the source code yourself and like say add a new type of analyzer for a type of analysis that you're working on, you're more than free to do that. And then how does our app work? That's probably the big question you have right now. So how it works is that you first import your data, which can either be in the form of CSV, JSON, or Excel files. That being said, a lot of social media data sets are pretty similar to one another. The columns are pretty much the same. The only thing that might be different is just like the naming of the columns or either like the given format for a specific column type. So like, so like username, the post content, or even the unique post ID might be like slightly different in either naming or format. So once you import your data in, you basically define, what columns you want to extract. Like when you select a test, it will actually try and auto detect the columns that it's looking for specifically. But you can actually also go in and modify what it finds. So you can kind of pick and choose what columns for it to actually select. Which goes on to the next point of what tests are actually currently available. Right now, we have what's called the copy pasta test. And what it does is it basically gets a count of like unique posts of like tongue twist, sorry. But yeah, it gets a number of the users that are posting a certain post and the frequency that it's being posted at. So, so collectively, how many users are posting it and how many times is this post actually showing up? That's kind of what it gets down to.
Does it filter out for reposting or so it's just like two random people doing the same thing?
Yeah, not that I know of. We don't do that kind of filtering, at least with this test.
No, right now,
I'm
no.
aware of.
Sometimes you see in the post, it says retweet
Yeah.
or something, so it's just.
So that being said, though, there was a recent feature that we just added where you can actually, filter by the amount engrams for a given post. So anything between 3 to 5 is kind of our default, but you can kind of tweak it to really suit your needs. And then the next test we have is the hashtag test. And this test, it basically checks for frequency and timings of hashtag usage across accounts to identify patterns, such as sudden spikes or synchronized posts and repeated behavior. So once you choose the test, though, it will actually go ahead and actually run the analysis for that given test, along with outputting results. So the patterns that it uses is are there checking for clusters of account postings that are highly similar or identical content within a usually short time. And then the other thing it will check for is whether or not there are abnormal volumes to certain posts or interactions, like likes or retweets. And how concentrated is it in a specific time window? But yeah, we also have a sample data set here. So if you would like to visit these slides and actually go and play around with the data yourself, you're more than free to. Which leads into the next part.
Yeah, so Chris will be demoing our tools, so really what Stefan gave a great analysis of our two tools that we're building, so yeah, we'll be able to demo it a little bit and show.
Let's see if that works, yes. I will share my screen. I'm sending a request to share my screen. Okay. Yes. Do something? No. Let's try again. Yeah. That's all. Okay. I hope this is visible enough. It should be. I can start increasing, but usually terminal will always mess up a bit. Yeah, so okay, I'll do the demo of the tool. What I'm running here, this is a terminal screen that I just extended through the whole screen. A terminal window, and I am running the executable that I just downloaded from our GitHub page. We have one for Mac and then Windows, which had some problems recently. But so I downloaded and I double click the executable, and this is what shoots up after about half a minute or so.
Who uses Windows anyway?
I was just testing if it's okay. Passed.
The year of Linux.
Okay, so the way right now Stefan already presented, so it's the tool. If people have data sets of social media in some sort of tabular form, CSV, or Parquet, or any format, they can use this tool to choose a library of tests. Right now, we're talking about two, to help them analyze the data. And the users that we're targeting here are non-technical users. So right now, we're going to go through a terminal, but we're making everything interactive and hopefully not too cumbersome for them to use. So that's the bigger idea, and it's going to work in two stages. The first part is this interactive terminal that I'm going to show. And then once I'm going to run an analysis, it's going to open up an interactive dashboard. So that's the two sides that we currently have. And I might need to toggle a little bit the screen sharing logistics for that. Okay, but let me walk you through it. So this is how it opens up. I'm just pressing enter. And then it's going to lead me through different screens that are different steps of the analysis. So right now, you toggle options by just navigating with up and down arrows, right? You don't need to type any commands or anything like that. So what I'll do is I will import a data set for new projects. And I'm pressing enter. And I'm already in the folder because I prepared a little bit. So I'm here in the GW Coders folder, and I have two data sets here available. And we have a sample data through social. So I'll try with this one first. This is something that was recently obtained by the team that's working on the data extraction. So I'm not super familiar with what the contents are, but it works on it. So okay, so this is a comma separated file. I'm going to click yes, this is good. And we're in the import options screen now. So you see how it goes. You go to the next step, there's a new screen. You see it's terminal, but we're trying to make it nice with like these little tables are sort of trying to be nicely formatted. So this is now the importing part of it. Here it tells you the options that you have for importing. You will know that CSV files have a lot of come in different flavors. You can have different separators, different double. So we're trying to do some heavy lifting under the hood for the user to detect these and show them what comes out if you use these parameters. So here we have a comma. It detected a double quotes. It found a header and it says there's no rows that need to be skipped at the beginning of the file, which often happens. And so it detected columns and it shows them here. All right, so it's down to the user to check. We know that these are fine. It has 13 columns, and this is the column names. It gives you a little hint here. If the detected column names are not right, try to change the skip rows parameters. So this is a step where oftentimes things go wrong, and we still get a lot of bugs on these things. But for now, I look at this and I say, this looks right. Yes, these are the columns. You could modify the import options. You could even choose a different format, but for now, this looks fine. And I'm going to click import this file. Before it imports, you can also name it. And I will do GW demo, thing like that. So that when you log in the next time, it has kind of like a project storage in the backend. So it keeps track of what you've already done. And so you can reload it. So in that sense, it's a pretty functional app. I named it, okay, and it's imported. I'm going to press continue. And now let's say I'm a researcher, I'm a journalist, I'm writing a little story, and I want to confirm quantitatively that what I'm writing in the story is confirmed on Truth Social with some analysis. And I can choose either hashtag analysis or Ngram that Stefan briefly explained. And for this one, I'll choose Ngram analysis. So finding repeated phrases in social media posts, which is frequently how bots operate, right? If you have a bot operation, they will just start spamming basically the same content all over again. And that's one of the easiest tests that you can do. So there's no machine learning, you're not fitting any models, you're not doing heavy math, there's really just searching for a lot of different same strings or text. Okay, I choose that. So the tool now gives me this, we're now in the Ngram analysis screen. It gives me a little description here, like as a help, what this is. And then it tells us about the required inputs. So that's the part where now the user has to correctly, we have certain expectations. The tool says, I can work as long as I have these 3 columns for this test. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And you've given me these data. Now tell me which of the columns I should look at to do the test. Here it gives you again a little, we will need 4 columns for this one, user ID, post number, the actual text that we're going to analyze, and then the timestamp. These are required. Nothing needs to be done at this point. I press enter. Okay. And now we're at the step where the user has to tell the analysis tool which columns we should be looking at. The way this works here is, again, we're in the terminal. We're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So it tries to automatically detect. It has a certain heuristic to say, I found a couple of columns that I think should be mapped. And it says, here's account username should probably be user ID. Then it says account username should probably be unique post number, which is not that good. It says content clean should be post content, which is great. And then timestamp is created at, and it gives you a little preview here. And so it's asking you, are you happy with this mapping? And I'm gonna see, I'm gonna say no, just to show you how that looks like. Okay. So now we're reassigning. And I think I'm gonna say that unique user ID.
It was unique post number, I believe.
Yeah, this one. Okay. And I'm gonna say what looks like. I think this ID seems kind of maybe good.
Yeah.
Again, this is down to the user to know the data a little bit. We're trying to help as much as possible in the background, but okay. Let's do this. Yes. Okay. So now we say yes, we're happy. We say yes. And now this is an analysis specific parameter. So first we had imports, now we had these column mappings, and then the last step is some tests might have parameters, something that the user has to decide on that we can't just choose by knowing in advance. And so in this case is what is the length of the combinations of words you want to look at. So in this case, we have 3 and 5. The shortest word combinations is a length of 3, so phrases of 3 words, and the longest is phrases of 5. It's kind of important because these combinatorics can quickly explode with these anagrams. So if you put 3 to 8, it would take quite a while to find these things, and it takes a lot of memory. So we keep it short. We have some defaults that seem to be informed, and so I'll say, yes, proceed, please. And it's doing it. And so I have little cute progress bars. It will run for about a minute or even less, so it's not worried.
Probably should have mentioned this at the beginning, but this runs on your terminal. So once you download the phone, you can run it on your own computer. And as Chris is demoing, it's pretty intuitive. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And it's also like restricted to like your machine locally. Like none of this code is like reaching out to the internet or anything.
Is there a library version of this?
No.
A library version? No, not at the moment.
Yeah, so it's like it's a Python-based app.
But it's
the code is on GitHub, right? But it's accessible. Like you can run it as a Python command for development mode. But the users are expected to use the executable.
So with that being said, there have been talks in the past about at least, making the analyzers module that's part of the CLI app is like an actual library.
Yeah.
So if people want to import those analyzers and use it in their own code, they can.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. But yeah, you have to force the efforts with volunteers on like what's achievable. Okay, so
We should talk.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it tells me the analysis is complete, and now I'm gonna go to the interactive part. So the results, I'm gonna say, okay. It somehow repeats the parameters here. I think this should actually remove this table here. But these are the type of bugs that we welcome issues. If somebody would test it, this would be really valuable at this point for us to see, like, why is this parameter name again here? And we would probably look at it and say, yes, it should be deleted, and somebody could do that. And this is the type of thing that we try to engage people with on Wednesdays if they come. Okay, but we're happy for now. So you could export the raw input files. Again, it has the storage backend, so it will store it in applications or wherever Mac has these kind of stores these files. So it can save the file and then it can open the Explorer for you and you can just copy these things and with the results, if you want to, let's say, analyze them with your own Python scripts, you're welcome to and just so. But otherwise, if you don't want to do that, we've designed dashboards that should help you kind of see the main patterns in the results. So now let me do initiate a browser-based dashboard. And I think I'm sharing just this screen. So I'll first just open it. And I think now it's
You might switch over to your browser.
let me see. Can I just switch to
I think actually you probably have to unshare and reshare.
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So it's in the browser as it's all hosted locally. There's actually something that you need the Wi-Fi, the internet for. It's to load the fonts of the dashboard. So, but we can make this locally to also download the fonts for you. But okay, so we're in this dashboard now. The idea is that the user can now click through and quickly see what kind of patterns are in the data specific to the test that was just run. So this is for those that are curious about the technicalities, this is Shiny for Python framework. And yeah, so it always starts with a little plot. In this case, the plot is going to be unique posters for a specific phrase and the frequency of that phrase. It's actually a lot of data. So there's a lot of points that are on top of each other here. But this is Plotly. For those who know, it's interactive plotting. So you can go through it and you can actually see the phrases and explore a little bit. For now, you can remove certain anagrams to have a little bit more clarity. It takes a little bit to update because they're kind of, in terms of real estate, they're busy plots. Okay, we now just have anagrams of length 3. And actually, Jehun is working on a search feature for this dashboard. So we already have a pull request. We just need to apply some Python formatting and then the tests will be passing. But yeah, so we're working on something that you can search for specific phrases. Maybe you have an intuition and say, I actually am curious about this specific phrase, which I think was used for XYZ, and you could maybe search it here and then it would just show you those data points. But for now, let's say you don't know a lot. Okay, I'll just do this. Impact of harmful. I click a data point, so it's clickable. And now you go to the data viewer panel, where it shows you the user ID, the anchor and content, which we just selected. That's going to be all the same, impact of harmful. And now you can here see the actual posts. So you can see, if I'm not mistaken, this is all the same post, posted like a couple of minutes apart on January 27th. So we're in the week right after the election, mind you, and we're looking at through social. That's the context, right? So, but yeah, so the idea is now that somebody who wants to write a story maybe and say, we think that there was actually a lot of automated bots that were skewing the popular, the public opinion online. This would be a way for them to say, yes, for a specific topic, they might use a keyword search, look at that specific phrase, and then might see that, yes, indeed, there's at least one user that was posting this in the span of a couple of days. And like, actually, sometimes it's within the same minute, which is a pretty clear indication that that's likely automated behavior. This is not a sort of kind of organic grassroots type of organization. Yes, there's a question.
We're going back to the graph above.
Yeah.
How do we interpret that to identify what phrases might be?
Yeah, so it's expected that if there's a larger number of unique posters, then the frequency of that specific word combination will be also higher in the specific corpus.
So distance from the baseline, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is it's expected to see this diagonal trend. But I think, and Ben, maybe you've been looking at this a little bit more frequently. I think the interesting part is when you have maybe a few unique posters, but a high frequency. So there's a few people that like really hammer, like they're really spamming a specific phrase oftentimes. So there's a certain portion of that graph that might be interested. That said, it could be that researchers actually, for some reason, say, no, actually it's interesting to see when you have a lot of unique posters and a high frequency. So this higher end of the graph might be more more interested. So that I think comes a little bit from the research background and hypotheses that you might have, but I would say looking at these kind of things that go off the line up is probably the interesting part, yeah.
So it's almost like if you look at it, you have viral on the right-hand side as you differentiate from the baseline,
Yes.
and you have bots on the left-hand side as you differentiate from the
For
baseline.
example, that would be a good feature. This is a great idea. So this graph could have been much more nicer if it had kind of a proxy interpretation added to the graph saying like virality and then bot like or something, right? So this is exactly the type of things that we're looking for right now when we're like kind
You
of
put a
showing this.
mean line in there, so the average at each point.
We cannot right now here in this graph, but we probably, that'll be a useful thing to
You
have.
can
to,
in the
like-
software, but
Yeah, right. You can, we're not right now here as it's implemented. Thanks for that, yeah.
So maybe this is a feature that you said is gonna come up. Let's say I'm particularly interested in a particular phrase, let's say. Or phrases that, just to be concrete, impacting the price of Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And in that one, so I would add that, it may not necessarily be bots, but it's still people. Kind of like they've generated their own version of this and they're kind of like they're kind of like feeding in phrases.
Mhm.
I want to be a kind of like, is there a way to understand both the dynamic side, like I suppose you're calling it the virality.
Yeah, it's just what we use now, the term, yeah.
But that for that particular phrase, I don't know, I'm
More like
interested in the more the dynamic
Yeah,
aspect of it.
we have a couple that might be answering your question. We have a couple of tests in the design phase, so to say, which are focusing more on the timestamps of the messages. So here you can see the dynamics by looking at this timestamp maybe. But there's tests designed which look at clustered behavior over time. And our other test has a time access to it, but that'll be one way. And we would just need to implement that test specifically. So right now, this one you can manually scroll through and observe the dynamics. But there's ways to construct networks of users. Let's say you find maybe there's a group of 5 users that have all started posting about something within one day, and it really spiked. You have tests that are designed for that, and that's actually a lot of social media analysis is focusing on that. We just haven't implemented.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
A little bit, but
Okay.
I'll listen. and do
Okay,
it.
or someone else maybe wants to follow up.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do it. Is there any other questions? There's another dashboard that I'm happy to also demo. People want to see
Yes,
if
please.
there's questions.
I'm curious about scale. Have you done any testing or what other governors that it's one file that it handles? Or can it handle a batch of files or?
Oh, in terms of like data processing and we haven't done extensive sort of testing with like what's the maximum size or something. Right now there's no batch processing or anything like that. So it loads one data file. It's a data frame library in the backend, Polars specifically. Polars is already pretty performant. It's a newer, for those that don't know, it's like Pandas, for those that know Pandas, but a little bit more performant. And so that's already pretty performant and it has some options to optimize, but we haven't dealt with that and we haven't tested it on large data sets. For this specific analysis, if you use a data set that has and I'm like rows in terms of the millions, that can run for maybe 5-10 minutes. So you might grab yourself some coffee before it comes back. As long as it's in the hundreds of thousands, both tests right now are there within seconds and minutes.
Yeah, that being said, though, we do have one volunteer on the project that's currently working on refactoring our storage layer. So we can actually handle basically those data sets where you have millions of rows a little more efficiently. Because that definitely is like an hurdle that we're trying to like cross. Because we know that like a lot of real world data sets are going to be within those millions of like rows rather than just like hundreds of thousands.
So getting back to the really large data sets, have you thought about a percentage as opposed to a raw count? That way you don't have to keep track. So essentially you can stop looking at very rare occurrences as you get deeper into the file. assuming that you've randomized your access. You could essentially say, well, items closer to that baseline are less important for this type of analysis, so we don't have to spend the runtime on it.
That's a good question. I don't recall us thinking about that. But these will be the optimizations that I think would be worth considering once we actually hear back and people say, actually, this is running super slow. We should probably just drop the tail, the less frequent. I believe right now, nothing is being thrown out.
And is there a file size limitation or at least number of characters in the analysis column?
No, it'll just take any size that you give it.
Yeah,
We don't really place a limit on that.
Well, if you're looking at social media, that's not a huge problem because they're limited normally, but if you're looking at other types of files that are similar, you can get 5, 10, 15 pages in the CSV columns at this point.
Yeah.
So I'd really bog it down as well.
I think your browser would just slow down, and that's how the app would tell you it struggles, but we don't have a better UX, like user experience, like we wouldn't. And we don't have a limit, but that's a good, yeah, you can imagine someone analyzing like comments on a government website regulations or something where those comments go into hundreds of words. Right now it's tailored for, it's assuming short messages, basically.
Yeah. And it's definitely been a challenge to kind of optimize for this in the browser a little bit. Because most browsers kind of have a set like memory limit of like 1 or 2 gigabytes. So once you hit that limit in the browser tab, you're basically out of memory. So if you have to like store, data in there for a while to actually visualize it, that also kind of becomes a problem trying to optimize for that.
Have you thought about embeddings and actually compressing down to graph data, this concept?
Yeah.
I mean, that would overcome some of those problems, not all of them, but.
Yeah, definitely. And I've thought about like maybe doing some data filtering on the back end, so kind of just grouping data together. And so you can actually like minimize the size of the data set. And that's something I plan on working on for the React dashboards that we have coming up.
It actually was kind of where I was gonna get at. Let's say there's a particular user that I'm interested in across multiple platforms. And kind of like filtering the data, but then capturing all of the sort of similar columns across.
Yeah.
That might come with what we're gonna build next, which is a way to export maybe the posts of just one username.
Yes.
And then you can do secondary analysis on it. And that's for us, the next stage of this application is giving that user the chance to collect the suspicious accounts and then do further tests on that. And it should be implementable.
Yeah, oh, I see now. Yeah, I think right now the app assumes you're bringing us your data source, and we're locally here. We're not reaching out to the internet and comparing across platforms and like that. And also it's like one data source at this point. So it will be down to a user to run the analysis on one data set, see a spike maybe around January 27th, and then run it on different data sets, see a spike, and then manually kind of, but no analysis.
Are you worried about malicious use of this tool?
We think about it. I can't see it, but Ben, yeah, we've been actually right now
So I mean, we've had this discussion on multiple occasions. And I mean, the issue with that is like, regardless of what you try to actually do to prevent malicious use, if somebody wants to use it for malicious use, there's not much stopping them because the code is publicly available for everybody to see. So, it's something that we don't really try to, think about all that much.
I mean, if you couple this with an AI process and you look at the most viral terminology that's on that upper right-hand side, you can build automated posting and work the algorithm to get a high view and content rate or shares, which was basically, yeah. I mean, that's to some extent, that's what I see built. Yes, that left tail is very important and useful for the researchers, but I think someone's going to take that right-hand side and go, man, I can monetize this.
Yeah. They might just do the COVID-19 and just go all in.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the single, it's having a few dozen data points you can feed into AI and create a post in a split second that now catches on trend, as long as you can scrape the data quick enough.
That's a good example of malicious use. Yeah, I was struggling because it's very descriptive and I was like, how could you spin this beyond what's already on the internet? But I guess that's a good example.
I'm gonna go back and do that now.
And I
But we were
think-
discussing,
My project.
we were just discussing this because we also like are re-choosing our license, or whether to use permissive, not permissive, so that factors in these type of decisions. But yeah, we're still also, I mean, in terms of user base, we're still kind of trying to find a user base. So that's why maybe all these questions about optimization and compressing haven't been fronted as much because we're kind of at a stage where we're trying to see if it works conceptually.
Well, and I mean, considering the open nature of our project, it's just, you know, there's not a whole lot that can be really done to avoid malicious use if somebody wants to use it for that purpose. Other than just trying to enforce the license as best we can.
Assuming that nowadays they can fetch the code from GitHub and run it and evaluate it and.
Exactly.
So my worry about malicious use in open source is not that someone's gonna take your code and refactor it and rebuild it, because if they wanted to, they just build it themselves.
Mhm.
The malicious use here would be making it really easy for someone to take the code, build very little software or even vibe code a solution to take what you have and create something quickly. So something like, okay, we're gonna mask certain terms or, you know, reduce the size that you can run through it at any one time.
Mm.
If someone wants to go and overcome that, that's on them, but at least you've done the civic duty.
Right.
Kind of situation.
It's a good call out.
Good point.
Let me, and maybe, because I believe we have a couple of minutes.
And then-
Yeah.
If I may.
Sure.
So
I'll
this
just
is
close
really good in terms of, like seeing where the bots are sitting, etc. But I was wondering if you considered having social networking, like the graphs,
Yeah.
where you can see basically how these people are connected, where is the center at the center, this spread of information, and then that could be very handy tool for a lot of big tech hosting type of like open intelligence. They are trying to use different sources to get like where is the center of this misinformation, etc. Like bots are one clear, very good example how you could use it, but like the networks analytics would still help.
I mean, you could literally just dump this to Neo4j and use the natural wrapping functions on that to actually get a visualization in seconds. Right? You don't have to do much coding at all.
So I don't know if you're getting at, so the geographical, as well as, I mean, if both of them would matter, geographical as well as the social.
Yeah, depending on whatever types of data, the data setting, they could identify certain networks and then see whether geographically.
Yeah, so
You know.
there has been thinking, absolutely, because this network analysis is one of the major types of analysis in social media. There's a volunteer that's trying to design a test around that. There's nothing implemented. I think the bigger thing is that those type of tests, they all require some sort of either machine learning or some optimization type in the background. And we've started with tests that don't require that. Simply pragmatically because with the volunteer kind of dynamics, it gets hard to have people that can commit for a longer time and then own certain implementation from start to end. But the idea was that we would have initially like a small number, like 3 to 5 or something, tests that are very easy to run, and such that we have something that's available and people can test. And then the natural question is, could you now help me see these accounts in a relationship? So that's something we would definitely want to go. But I think again, with having this kind of volunteer bandwidth in mind, we kind of chase these kind of small manageable goals. Yeah. But I think it would be, I think that's definitely the type of analysis you want to have. Like, can you show me 5 most active users and how they relate to each other?
Yeah, I mean, because lots of deep fake factories, there are even some paid accounts that are, you know, paid from one same source and in different international contexts, in politics, etc. They are affecting a lot, like the political systems, the election processes, etc. And it's really useful.
Yeah, I guess it depends some on what is the use case that you have in mind.
That's like what was.
Because that's like for investigating. But that's not really what, like you said, someone had said, oh, for a journalist to use to see if they should believe that this is really trending when it's not. They probably don't want to go that far. They're not investigating to try to solve who's doing it. They just want to know, I shouldn't say this is trending because it's not really trending. It's just a couple of bots. Versus your case of, like, if they're trying to use it to see, did people register a lot of complaints to the government agency through their, like, again, that's like then the policy use, but they don't probably want to investigate to see who did it. They just want to know not to believe that this policy is bad because some bot put 10,000 comments in.
Or like, yeah, exactly. So I think also the way I'm thinking about it is here, they don't need to open a raw file and scroll through it to find like, even though these data sets are intentionally chosen such because they have this behavior in there. But normally would be that they would just want to quickly get to some examples or just corroborate a certain story that they have in mind. So that's what I'm thinking as a journalistic use. A social scientist, computational social science perspective, then probably would require, if somebody would want to use this tool to actually write a scientific paper, that's a different story. Then this little interactive clicky craft wouldn't be not enough. They would need to report something that's reproducible. I think that's a different, sort of a little bit of a different ballgame than probably thinking in terms of making it a Python package that people can run themselves and share would be more, yeah.
And you can find some elements of networks. It's not visualized.
Yeah.
We want to visualize. And a lot of the visualization packages are not really user-friendly, actually, because if you're visualizing the network of 10,000 accounts, you can't really interpret what that is. So our goal has always been to make things really easy for the users. So we think about, okay, if this open source package for network visualization exists, we modify it. So instead of showing 1 million accounts in some crazy spider web, maybe they're on the top 100. And that's sometimes what slows us down a little bit, is we always want to implement any kind of tool that like users, laymen can use, people who are like journalists, people who really have more of the kind of advocacy skills versus like the raw technical skill. But you can use this to find networks, for example, like copy and pasted text. Sometimes you see one account which spammed, like what Chris showed. But after spamming 100 times, you then see the other accounts which retweeted it beneath. Now they didn't post it as many times. So they are the ones retweeting. And sometimes you can look at the retweet behavior, and sometimes they're retweeting that same, the first account 10 times in 1 minute. And more accounts are doing that. And you can start to see that maybe the first account is being aided by the other account. So there's ways to find networks within our method. A lot of that is, but visualization will be an improvement. So we like to do that too.
Yeah, speaking of some of the things that we have on the dock moving forward, and by the way, information about how to operate this tool. We have a fancy little website, which we're doing a redesign of currently, but it also has a download and install page and really thinking about how you can, there's also a page on preparing your data, so there's information on there. But yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit more about some of our ongoing tools, some of our engagement, next steps. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I will take over from here. So yeah, like I said, we've been actually receiving a lot of good feedback from everyone, which is very appreciated. And then, so there are a few new functions we're trying to build up. So first of all, I think we mentioned before that trying to build an API extractor that for non-technical users, they can still have some data that they can use within the tool we provided. They don't have to extract their own data outside the tool and then import it into the tool. That could cause some barrier for some non-technical user we're trying to target. And the other thing is that we also want to build a web interface that is more user friendly. Because now we have this CLI, but I believe that some of the non-technical asked me, because I'm from more of an international relation background, I have no coding background, so CLI still looks a little bit intimidating sometimes. So we're trying to build. So these two pictures here are the mock-up we have for now. We're trying to build a at least a beautiful, easy to use interface for people that can just use this browser and then they can just implement the tool, the test. And then in future, we want to add more tasks like we discussed here. We have new tasks, it's under research, and then we can all put them together so they can test multiple tests on maybe certain users that they can all extend together in this interface.
Were you gonna use Shiny for that, or is that React?
That's going to be, yes.
Yes, and so speaking of some engagement things, because I think a lot of people mentioned that we have actually we want our tool actually has more of a limited use case for now, but like definitely we want to expand that and so we are very proactively trying to connect with different researchers, scholars, and students like what we do today. Trying to get more users. So one example is that we have collaborated with a professor named Michael Ha from University of DC. So he's actually using our tool to investigate some public health issue trending terms on true socials. And then I think a few weeks ago, we also did a user experience survey with him, trying to know some feedback from him that how we can improve our tools. And then the other example is FactLink is actually a Taiwanese fact-checking and research NGO. Like we said, this whole project is actually inspired by Taiwanese very vibrant civic tech society, but also this their democracy. So we also want to provide a tool to Taiwanese NGO. But actually, we've been trying to reach out different NGO or researchers around the world. So actually, we have talked to so many different people. And so if everyone here happens to know any NGO researchers from different countries, just feel free to let us know. If you want to be that researchers, we're also very welcome. And yeah, and then the other thing Helen just mentioned that we're undergoing website revisions. Want to build the website more engaging and more these eye-catching for people are not really know what our project is. They can easily know what who we are, what is this project about. And then the last very important milestone for our engagement is actually this collaboration with GW Open Source Program Office. A big shout out to David. So I think this early spring, we actually presented at an inaugural open source conference. This is kind of our public debut. Yeah, and then so we also expect to have more collaboration like what we have today, or maybe the next conference. So we're all very look forward to those things. Yeah, so we just passed our 1 year birthday. So we held a little celebration party at Ben's house. We have some barbecue, some mango themed drinks and foods, which is very fun time. Yeah. Actually, I think it's very happy for us. We're really happy that be able to build this open source civic tech community that people come join and then they might stay, they might go, but they still linger around and then want to contribute something. And then it's good to see that we have already built this like big family type of thing, and we expect to seeing grown in the future. Yeah, so how to get involved? Actually, CIP Mango Tree is part of CV Tech DC community. So CV Tech DC is a nonprofit based in DC that trying to bring volunteers together to create tools for public goods. Actually, I think we have 7, 8 projects going on under this framework. Also, for CV Tech DC, we have bi-weekly in-person project night. Happens every second and fourth Wednesday every month. And besides that, CIP Mango Tree also have weekly virtual meeting for both teams. Engagement team on Tuesday, product team on Thursdays. Also, we also listed a few duties that we are looking to, and we're looking for a volunteer to join. And then, for example, for engagement team, we want people that have some marketing skills. They can write some blog, write social media posts, or they are good at developing new contacts, new researchers that would like to work with us. And for product, I think we've been talking a lot about new methodology, new tests, or how to detect some bug that can help our tool run more smoothly. Yes. So so the way you can join us, for example, you can follow us our LinkedIn and Instagram. That is the 2 social media platforms that we have. And then we also write some blogs on Medium, trying to explain some more of a detailed logic of the tools or how you can use it in different scenarios. For the website, I think Helen just showed it, just basic all information you can find it on the website. Maybe the last page is, and I think it's your turn to, if you want to, really get more involvement in all this whole project. So we have provided this the sample data. I think Chris just shown. You can access through this QR code, or you can look around our GitHub, or if you want to get involved, the QR code on the right is actually a one-page onboarding document that you can find, or a Slack channel, some of the tasks, or some of the skill set that we're really looking for. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our GitHub page. It's pretty active, as you guys can see. And there's also like a more technical documentation page if everyone's interested in the more detailed type of stuff. Yeah, I think we are at.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Yes.
great. People can stay and ask questions. We might shut down online. Thank you so much. This was really great. Students, any GW students, if you contribute to this project, you qualify for an award from the OSPO. So please, I don't know if are you an active student at GW? Yeah, if you have a contribution, all you have to do is go to our registration page and show the merge request, the pull request that was approved, and you qualify to get in a lottery to win $150. So
We're so close.
So yeah, so we encourage people to come. It's a great community. Really exciting work that you're doing. I'm all for it. They actually worked with Professor Amir Jafari to get their project as one of the capstone projects. So I don't think it was selected because everybody wants to do AI and it didn't have an AI component, I think, but maybe in the spring it'll get selected. I think it's still a great project. And yeah, maybe we can tweak it to get an AI component or something.
Just maybe put it with one of the other professors, not Jafari.
Oh, yeah.
He's good. He's just got his team is very
We
AI
just call it
focused.
Mango Tree AI.
Yeah. Definition of AI is so loosey-goosey. I feel like you can argue a lot of things into AI that
A
are.
good chunk of our app just becomes LLM prompts.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I live.
All right, thanks everybody online. I'm gonna disconnect the recording. Thank you all. Take care. Everybody else, welcome to grab pizza and
Yes, please, take the pizza.
yes.